Hey, what is up guys, Marcy here, back to do another game, and today we're back on Tiberium Rift for another awesome game. As you guys know, whenever I post a game, you know it's going to be awesome. So today I've got a game versus Senna. I'm going to be playing as the Marked of Kane, he's going to be playing as the Scrin. I know you guys wanted to see more Nod, or specifically me playing versus Nod, but I'm going to be the Nod this time, specifically the Marked of Kane. So I'm going to have cybernetic leg infantry, I'm going to have stealth, I'm going to have all that sort of jazz, but not particularly useful, to be fair, versus Scrin, because Scrin have shard seekers, which in mass just slaughter Marked of Kane. Why is that, Leaf? Well, you don't get scorpion tanks with laser capacitors, plus Marked of Kane infantry isn't really a counter in itself versus Seekers and Gunwalkers. It's a supporting unit to be used with Scorpion tanks or avatars. That is much different to, say, Nod or Black Hand, where you can just spam infantry and they are good on their own. Especially Black Hand with the charged particle beams. Seekers, of course, have a vulnerability to gun damage, and Black Hand has plenty of that. Marked of Kane still get access to supercharged particle beam shredder turrets, but they were nerfed in 1.02 plus. Not nearly as effective. But yeah, I'm going for a Reckoner Rush against Scrin. What does this leave? You're going for a Reckoner Rush versus Scrin, and it's already been scouted. I know, it's not a good situation to be in whatsoever. Senna does scout this right away, and my goal with this is to just take over my opponent's Tiberium spike and hopefully get there before a Gunwalker arrives on the scene. That's why I'm moving these awakened squads closer to the tip spike so I can EMP the Gunwalker if one comes. Judging by the placement of that buzzer hive, I'm going to guess that Senna has a Gunwalker. He's going to fuse that buzzer to his Gunwalker. He will have that on hold fire just so it doesn't detach from the Gunwalker and get killed. He will manually detach it. It's also difficult to target units with buzzers fused onto them. But yeah, I'm going to be able to take this. I don't have time to booby trap this Tiberium spike. There is a risk of my engineer dying through the tip spike, so I wanted to make sure that was EMP'd. Yes, I did know and did mention that that was maybe addressed in R20, but I don't trust what I did, because all structures in the game have this issue. But yeah, this Gunwalker is going to find its match. It's going to find a buggy, Raider buggy to be exact. And if the Gunwalker is sufficiently damaged, well, Raider buggies can kill it. It's very slow, the engagement, but I see that I can kill this here. It's always good having health bars enabled when you're playing, so you can determine if you can take on certain fights or not. I know health bars are a little bit annoying to look at, but you get used to them over time. So this Reckoner moves in. Unfortunately, this was spotted. Senna must have scouted the extra engineer I made, so pretty crazy opening. Yeah, man, I went for a engineer to take his tip spike, and then I went back to base for a third engineer to put in that Reckoner again, expecting that maybe Senna would just think it's a tip trooper Reckoner, but he was well aware of what was coming. That buzzer that scouted me did get all the information it needed. I'm going to pull these Seekers away so my Harvester can safely gather that blue Tiberium in the middle of the map. It is a bit of a dangerous adventure, but as long as I get there, I should be okay. And following up this madness, I'm going for a secret shrine and a tier 2. Absolute insanity. I'm going for the tier 2 to upgrade the dozer blades, and I'm going for the cybernetic legs upgrade as well, so we can get some infantry out. As mentioned in the start of this video, infantry is to support scorpion tanks or avatars. So I'm going to use the tip troopers to slow down the enemy unit to kill disintegrators. It will allow me to trade better because he can't retreat. So if he tries to retreat with some very damaged Seekers, I can slow them down with his tip troopers and kill them quite nicely. I'm going for an awakened squad as well, or rather enlightened. That has very good area of effect with his EMP, and I have to micro like no tomorrow because I'm extremely behind in this point in time. I am insanely behind. So micro has to be perfect, man. It has to be absolutely flawless. Good opening engagement, which is what I need, considering the investment I made on that one base. My opponent, Senna, will be on 4 refineries right now. Just for some perspective, he has significantly more eco than me, so every unit that I lose is a big deal. I can't afford to lose even a single Scorpion tank, so the micro has to be flawless. I can't stress that enough. I mean, I can afford to lose 1 or 2 here and there, but my forces are not expendable. I'm even microing these Awakened Enlightened squads. Keep calling them Awakened, but they're the same thing. Keep microing those back so I don't lose them, because that's my one and only Enlightened squad. That's an expensive unit, $1,300 for one of those Enlightened squads. Doesn't have very good DPS. I mainly built it for the EMP. I'm going to get that 1 tank on the very low health back to base, use these 3 to cover its retreat. And because the shields are online for Senna, these Awakened and Enlightened squads will be less effective at dealing with this force. But still, it's going to be good once I have pinged the shields off of them. I'm queuing another Enlightened squad from this Hand of Nod, so I can get a nice EMP on those Gunwalkers. I had no choice, otherwise I would have lost my Enlightened squad there. But yeah, very, very frantic engagement. I am super behind still. I do have the defender's advantage here. I've got an Enlightened squad, which I'm going to use the EMP on. I focus down as many Seekers as I can. Harvester looking to go to that blue Tiberium field. I micro that one back. I'm going to EMP again with the Awakened squad that I drafted. Disruption Tower comes down. I'm now queuing a Voice of Kane, because I intend to go into some infantry once more. But yeah, I hold this off I just hold it off. Another Voice of Kane, because you can build more than 1 Voice of Kane in R20 now. In the latest R20, the limit of Voice of Canes has been removed, so you can now build as many Voice Canes as you want, but nobody really builds even a singular Voice of Kane. The buff does not stack, so there's no issue with the ability to build more than 1. Nonetheless, though, I'm going to be able to drop 1 in my expansion and have 1 at my main base. It's going to increase the utility of this infantry of Mark of Kane. I've got my tier 3 ready to drop, but my micro is... my attention is fixated on winning this fight here, because I need a micro. And the key word is micro. I've been mentioning it a lot, but this game has the most amount of scored micro that I have ever had in a singular match of Kane's Wrath in 15 years. No shards online just yet for him. Once the shards is online, the Scorpion tank is going to be utterly useless. Dozer Scorps don't contend with shard seekers. And you're just going to base contain me here. That is a visual bug where my buildings are stealthed or look like they're stealthed. I'm going to focus down some of these units that are on the very low health. I'm using a reverse formation move. You can press the D key on your keyboard with the formation move of the mouse, where you press and hold your left and right mouse button. That will put your units in reverse while maintaining the formation that they're in on that line. I'm not sure if I explained that right. It's kind of tricky to explain. Sometimes it's easier to demonstrate. But yeah, I'm going for 2 stealth tanks because I have not been on the counter attack for the last like 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm going to go and try and attack him with stealth tanks, building a Redeemer engineering facility. By the way, that did get a buff in R20. The epic unit facilities have 25% more repair radius, which is great because the vehicles are larger that spawn from those structures. So it makes sense how the repair radius is a little bit bigger. These stealth tanks, unfortunately, will be spotted. I did complete the Tib core upgrade, but unfortunately for me, these 2 stealth tanks are not going to claim my singular harvester kill. And the upgrade was for nothing, essentially, because I've only got 2 stealth tanks. I upgraded that just for 2 stealth tanks. That was unfortunate. However, I got an amazing Tiberium vein detonation on this force. I did pull all of his Seekers back to his base, and that allowed me to completely annihilate this Seeker army with that Tiberium vein detonation. And despite him losing like 15 Seekers to a Tib vein, I'm still most likely going to lose this fight here because he is surrounding my force. He's got plenty of production. Buzzer High's back there as well. I'm selecting the Enlightened squad that has not yet used its EMP. And I've got a couple of Scorpion tanks there that are very ranked up. I'm going to try and keep those alive. As you can see, I'm selecting the one that is elite to go back. It is very, very low on health. I'm going to cover for that tank while it retreats. And I am microing I'm just microing really hard here to try and save as many of these tanks as possible. I'm focusing down the Shard Seekers. Gunwalkers are less effective than Seekers against these Scorpion tanks. And that's pretty much free XP if he decides to stick around there. I've got my Redeemer out. I sell my Redeemer Engineering Facility. That's what you should do because you get a Tip Trooper for it, or a Black Hand Squad. And I'm going to escort this Redeemer to my third expansion, so I don't lose this MCV. Reckoner out as well. I am very on point in this game. Going for a Reckoner Commando because I suspect that my opponent will transition to like mass shock troopers because they are very good now in this patch. So I was thinking, yeah, he's probably going to do that. So I've got this Commando which I'm going to put in the Reckoner. Reckoners do benefit from the Dozer Blade upgrade as well, so that plus 25% armor will apply also to the Reckoner, a unit that you rarely see. I would like to see it be seen more as Black Hand with the Purifying Flame. Black Hand squads would be very good in that scenario. Now I haven't been taking any blue Tiberium. He has been free to take all of it. I did take one load of blue Tib at the start of this match, but I've left it alone for a good couple of minutes now. And I come in once again with this unit. There is a shock trooper there, so it looked like Senna was transitioning into infantry, but changed his mind upon seeing this Commando. Commando did its job, killed one lone shock trooper, and I got the evac on this. That Reckoner tanks so much damage. Tib Vapor Bomb comes in, doesn't really acquire much as far as kills goes, and these Seekers are just going to surround my force. My Harvest is getting destroyed at my expansion, and I did manage to secure a heroic Scorpion tank, but one heroic Scorp tank against his untouched eco, against his macro, is still just a drop in the ocean. Really, I need more than this. I've got another elite Scorpion tank back there. If I can somehow get that one to heroic, then I may have DPS. I may have something. I've got an avatar back there, and there you see a second heroic Scorpion tank emerge. So Micro is being rewarded in one of the rare instances that it is. Usually I complain that Micro is never rewarded in this game, but this time it was, and I was able to secure 2 heroic Scorpion tanks. However, unfortunately for me, this Redeemer will be surrounded and killed. Redeemer's not very good against units like Seekers en masse, so that Redeemer's going to be falling here. Unfortunately for me, it got a bit caught out in the open, but yeah, the Rage Gen was also a bit early because he was already focusing on that Redeemer, so the Seekers wouldn't stop to target themselves. So that was a bit of a waste. Scorpion tanks got a different fire tracer when they're heroic. Very rare because you don't see heroic Scorpion tanks often, especially marked of Kane ones where they don't even get the laser capacitor upgrade. I'm going to use the Dozer Blades to crush and run over these disintegrators. It allows Scorps to not take damage whilst crushing those descents. Otherwise descents are just like fanatics. You can get killed by them just by running them over. So I lost my Redeemer, and yeah, things aren't looking too good for me. The drone ship's moving towards me. Senna still has plenty of eco. I have not killed one Harvester, so he can probably produce Seekers and Tripods off of 2 war factories or 3 war factories all day. I'm struggling to get down my expansion, and he has found yet another avatar. Tons of Seekers, tons of units coming towards me, but he did not spot the transition I made into infantry. I've got a couple of Enlightened there with Tib Troopers that will allow me to deal with the Buzzer Swarm support power quite nicely, and these Seekers, even 4 or 5 is enough to put enough pressure onto my heroic Scorp tanks. The DPS of the heroic Scorps is not great still, but it's gonna allow me to tank a lot of damage and repair. The most important thing is these tanks can repair themselves out in the field. So I see a couple more tanks there. I'm going to focus those down quickly, and the rest of my army, comprising of Enlightened and Tib Troopers, will encounter this force of Gunwalkers and Seekers. This kind of unit composition for Skrin is usually very effective versus Might of Kane. But there is a spanner in the works here. I do have these 2 heroic Scorpion tanks, which changes everything. It changes the equation. I've got a Commando back out as well, because I was fearing that he would go into tripods. Enlightened and infantry is the way to handle the tripod transition, but he didn't do that, so it's just going to be tier 1, which is actually better for him. Ultimately, he's got the shard launcher online, he's got that drone ship right next to my base, and this game has been pretty much non-stop since I took over his tier spike in the start. Didn't seem like all that long ago since I captured that tier spike of his. Of course, he did get it back in the end. And these 2 heroic Scorpion tanks, they are going to be surrounded. It's so much damage coming in from these Seekers. But I've got an Awakened squad there, which I can use the EMP, his force, and stop the damage. The incoming damage. Harvesters will be going down for me. I'm barely harvesting from this tier field. He's camping my field with all of these Seekers. Drone ship moving forward. More reinforcements coming in for Senna. I've got these 2 heroic Scorpion tanks still, just focusing down these Seekers, getting a lot of damage on them. As much damage as humanly possible. And since Senna used his stasis shield, he does not have that at his disposal. I've got the quad turret upgrade now online for my shredder turrets, so I'm going to be able to drop down these charged particle beam shredder turrets with quad turrets. No longer do they DC. That has not been a thing for about a year now. So if you have R20 installed, have no fear, because quad turrets do not desync anymore online. 2 heroic Scorpion tanks still going ham. I'm killing off this army, but I'm trading avatars. Imagine if I had not had these tanks, these avatars would have been toast. And just look at this firepower. 2 heroic Scorpion tanks, a sight in a 1v1 match that you guys probably have never seen before. And especially against fully upgraded Seekers, which usually completely destroy Marked of Kane. Like, Scorps usually stand no chance in this matchup. And indeed, you can see, if I had not had these Scorpion tanks, I would have got completely crushed and annihilated. Buzzer Hive coming down. He's desperately trying to hold this back. He's wasting so many forces, but he's trying to stop me from harvesting this tier field, because he knows if I get 2 heroic Scorpion tanks plus an expansion down to build up my army, then he has not really much hope of winning. But I got a Commando there. Not heroic because I'm not Black Hand. But yeah, if you're Black Hand, you should definitely build a heroic Commando. Not enough players do that. And yeah, I summon in once again the C Tiberium, something that you should always do as frequently as possible. And these Scorpion tanks will clean up the remainder of these Seekers. Just insane. The Seekers go down. The Scorpion tanks will ultimately prevail in this insane game. And I felt like I did not disappoint you guys when I said at the start of this game that it would be amazing. I mean, it's not something you see happen too often. The previous 2 games I've had on this map have been great, and I hope that I continue to get games like this to post on YouTube, because these are games that I would have posted on game replays back in the day, and I'm pretty sure they would have been wubbed, highly wubbed. Maybe I'm wrong, but that is something that doesn't occur too often, and I thought the micro was intense there. Definitely some of the best Scorpion tank micro I've had ever. So I hope you all enjoyed that, guys. If you did, then don't forget to smash the like button. I'd really do appreciate that. And before I leave, I'd like to give a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters for supporting my YouTube channel and for supporting the mod development that happens in the background. So yeah, that is going to be it from me. This is me, Master Leaf. Peace out.